But Kurt going into a beatdown here of James Storm. I think he caught Storm off guard here.
I think that's because of concern on the part of Angle that he changes up his offensive game plan.
Yeah, I mean, Kurt is a master tactician in there. Not just physically, but mentally. So it's very smart by Kurt, as you can see with the results, that Storm is down and beaten.
You'll recall that we saw these two square off several weeks ago here on Impact Wrestling. Nothing determined or decided in that match. Neither a pin or submission win for either man. And tonight, it is for the World Heavyweight title.
Yeah, you don't know what Bobby Roode told James Storm. He might have given a whole scout report on Kurt. So Kurt could be in trouble here. But right now, Kurt's in total control.
Oh, God! Holy crap! Super kick! What a shot!
WBCB presents Pro Wrestling Weekly.
Tell me he didn't just say that.
Call in with a question or comment at 215-949-3232 or 888-922-2149.
The Tower of Power, too sweet to be sour, funky like a monkey, oh yeah.
And now, here's your host of Pro Wrestling Weekly, Fearon Derry.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
Really? Yeah!
One half of Beer Money is the new TNA World Heavyweight Champion, but not the half you expected. Hello and welcome to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry here with you. What a heck of a week it's been as far as eventful stuff, especially in TNA. We had the Bound for Glory pay-per-view, and then, of course, following up from it this past Thursday on Impact, as you heard, James Storm, your new TNA World Heavyweight Champion after Angle, retained in rather questionable head-scratching fashion at the Bound for Glory pay-per-view, which I got the chance to check out in person. Certainly some interesting notes, and we'll go over that. We'll go over that right now, actually, for those who missed the card. Of course, in the pre-show, you had Mexican America beating Inc. to retain the tag titles. Unfortunately, a little bit of traffic kept me from checking out that match. The crowd was very much behind Austin Aries in his match against Brian Kendrick, which Aries had won to retain the TNA X Division title. That was the leadoff match. Rob Van Dam against Jerry Lynn. Van Dam beat Lynn in that Full Metal Mayhem match, and there were certainly a lot of ECW chants in the crowd, to which I decided to make a tweet of let it go already, because that's, ECW chants 2011. I think we're at the point, it'll always be in our hearts, but I think it's time to kind of move on from it just a little bit, and I kind of had a little fun with that. And oddly enough, speaking of let it go already, I made note of that in the next match with, there were still some chants toward Earl Hebner of "You Screwed Brett." Montreal was almost 15 years ago. Can we please, maybe? I don't know. Just a plea out there to you wrestling fans. Anyway, Crimson, he continued that undefeated streak, beating Samoa Joe and Matt Morgan. Surprised I got that one right. In my predictions, certain to go wrong. Mr. Anderson beat Bully Ray in that Philadelphia Falls Count Anywhere match. Bully Ray getting a lot of heat, kind of surprisingly, because I figured they'd go with the Philadelphia hometown thing, but no, they played the New York roots and got the crowd very much against him very quickly. Velvet Sky beating Winter, Madison Rayne, and Mickie James to win the Knockouts title. That was the only title change of the night for the pay-per-view. AJ Styles beating Christopher Daniels, and the crowd didn't like Daniels talking a lot through it. It almost seemed kind of corny, supervillain movie-esque, and the crowd chanted something that I can't repeat over the radio, but they wanted him to be quiet. We'll leave it at that. Jeff Jarrett then came out to call out Jeffrey Nero Hardy, obviously after his personal demons. He's had a mixed reaction coming back. The fans didn't really have much of a reaction to either Jarrett or Hardy, but during that brawl, that huge uproar, for those of you who had seen the pay-per-view might have noted, that huge uproar was actually for road agents D'Lo Brown and Al Snow. They got more of a pop than some of the wrestlers. What does that tell you? And then, of course, Sting beating Hulk Hogan to give control of the company back to Dixie Carter, but then Hulk Hogan turning babyface in a rather fun moment. And, yeah, I got childhood nostalgic a little bit. Just a little bit, though. And then, of course, Kurt Angle beating Bobby Roode, holding on to the ropes as Bobby Roode's leg was under the bottom rope. The referee made the 3 count anyway, and Kurt Angle held on to the title, but only for a few more days, as James Storm is now your TNA World Heavyweight Champion. We can certainly get your thoughts on that. And, of course, we've got a pay-per-view tomorrow for the WWE, Vengeance. It's amazing how that's become an afterthought. 3 months ago, that would have been like the headline. We've got, the big pay-per-view, but WWE's kind of found a way to undermine everything, and it might be the fact that this is their 3rd pay-per-view in the last 6 weeks. Hell in a Cell 3 weeks ago, and, of course, Night of Champions 2 weeks prior to that. So that may have a little bit of something to do with it. I'll have my predictions certain to go wrong later in the show regarding that. But for now, let's go ahead and get over to the phones. We've had people waiting patiently, including Ed to start off. Ed, welcome to Pro Wrestling Weekly.
Good afternoon.
What's going on, Ed? Sorry, I couldn't hear you. What was that?
We got some shows coming to the area.
As always, let us know what's going on in the local scene there, Ed.
ACPW at Sports Extreme in Boothland.
Boothland, okay.
That's a Sunday afternoon.
Out of our area, but not too terribly far.
There's Roxy Cotton Comedy at the Brunswick Zone in Feasterville.
Oh, that's right, Nora. Roxy Cotton Comedy?
Yes.
Oh, she's doing a little bit of wrestling comedy. I thought Mick Foley was the only one who was doing that. Okay, when's that going on?
I think that's next week or tonight.
Next week or tonight. Very interesting.
I forgot to put it down.
Oh, okay. That was just kind of a last-minute addition. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, got anything else for us, Ed?
Sportsplex in Feasterville has MMA Unleashed tonight.
Okay, something a little outside of the wrestling box, but we get some MMA calls every once in a while. Had boxing call a couple of weeks ago, so anything's certainly possible.
And the 10th anniversary of IWC in Elizabeth.
Oh, over in Elizabeth, New Jersey. Okay, is that going on?
PA.
Oh, Elizabeth, PA. Okay, I got my Elizabeths mixed up.
That's about it.
Alrighty, thank you so much for the local look as always, Ed. We greatly appreciate it, because I know I don't always get the chance to look into too much of the local stuff. I mean, I don't know. I kind of go where the phone callers lead me to, but that's what I have Ed for. He is gracious enough to kind of let us know what's going on locally in the area, and try to make my way out to it and see if I can give a little bit of a different spin on things, a different look on things. Let's go ahead and get to Dan, who's been waiting patiently. Dan, welcome to Pro Wrestling Weekly.
What's up, Fearon? How you doing?
Not too bad. What's going on?
Good pay-per-view Sunday. Really good pay-per-view. I enjoyed it all. The only problem is Impact. I liked how they were setting the table. Don't get me wrong. I liked all that. They got to get away from that stupid, fake crowd noise when a promo is going on, because I want to shoot myself in the head every time I hear it. It looks like it gets louder and louder and louder, then quiet, louder, louder. It's like ridiculous. It needs to go away. Yeah,
the piped-in crowd noise is getting a little bit ridiculous, and it actually, at least for the first couple of matches on the pay-per-view, it sounded like they were piping it into the arena, but it was kind of hard to tell. It could have just been actual fan reaction, though.
It was. That's what I enjoyed about the pay-per-view. They had no fake crowd noise. It was real reaction. It was awesome.
You know what it was? It was just the crowd was hot for the first 2 matches, and then, the first 3 matches, and then once Crimson and Samoa Joe came out, it kind of fell. The interest kind of fell from there and didn't pick up again until the Sting-Hogan match, really.
Right. It looked good on TV, though. It really, the crowd looked hot on TV. It was a good time. I actually had fun watching TNA on Sunday.
Yeah, I thought it was really well done, and I mean, we obviously had some promotional stuff here, and I'm trying not to let any bias slip in. I'm trying to call it down the middle, as I do as a broadcast journalist. Old Bobby Heenan line there. But no, they went out of their way to make it a big deal, at least leading up to the event.
Now, I'm going to throw in a couple negativities. The main event. If they knew Kurt Angle was hurt, okay, why not give the title to Bobby Roode? And why did I pay $44.95 to watch it on HD to see a title match, hoping for a title match to change hands or something on pay-per-view TV when they gave it away for free on Impact on Thursday with James Storm winning the title?
I don't know. I think that might have been like a last-minute judgment call. That would be my guess. I mean, something definitely went awry, and I know the fans after the pay-per-view went off the air, the fans just kind of stood there almost in stunned silence, waiting for something, waiting for Dixie Carter to come out and restart the match, or waiting for something. But it was just a finish that just left you scratching your head and going, why? And then to further it, fast forward 5 days later, now you have the title going to Bobby Roode's tag team partner, James Storm, which kind of makes you think, well, looks like this is going to be the end for the tag team of Beer Money, as they're more than likely going to feud over the title over the next the upcoming next few months.
Right. But don't you feel a little shafted? Like, that could have been your guys' victory celebration from the Impact Zone?
A little bit. Yeah, I mean, why they brought it back down to down to the tourists there down in Universal, I'm not really sure, but I don't know. I think you're right. I think they did have an opportunity to turn the page a little bit, but you saw, I mean, even with Angle winning or keep retaining the title on Sunday, and Hogan turning face, all that did was lead to a half hour of talk on a show where wrestling matters. A half hour consecutive.
I'm okay with that. You need to do that after a pay-per-view like that. Like, you have to hit a restart kind of type deal for the next upcoming matches coming up in the future. That part I get. No, I wasn't upset with that at all on Thursday night. Not at all. But what gets me is they do this stuff all the time. Even WWE occasionally does this, where they'll book this big title match on pay-per-view. Something screwy happens during the ending, and you get no resolution to it, but you get a resolution to it on
TV later that week.
You should have a resolution to it on pay-per-view, not free television. They book backwards. Backwards booking.
A little bit, yeah. No, I definitely can't disagree with that. Well, I know for those of you who haven't been on Facebook, I figure you can go onto there and check. But for those who don't necessarily have the Facebook and can't check us out at WBCB Pro Wrestling Weekly, go ahead and give us your thoughts on the Scott Hall. The Scott Hall special. We talked a little bit about it last week. It aired this past Wednesday on ESPN. You can check it out on at ESPN's website. You also can check the WBCB Pro Wrestling Weekly webpage. I've got it posted up there. Your thoughts.
TMZ is reporting already that Scott Hall and his son and a couple other websites are reporting that him and his son are already at odds after the reunion. That's already
that they're already estranged. That came from TMZ. Obviously, Scott Hall's drug problems have kind of forced the two apart. That was they painted it in a positive picture, as though it was, that would be Scott's last saving grace to kind of help Cody get into the business. His son Cody Hall, and I mean, if he does decide to continue that, I mean, that boy is a grown beast. I mean, Vince will probably, he'll already have the checkbook ready to go. I mean, give it a couple of years once he puts a little bit of muscle on his frame. I mean, for 20 years old to be that tall, and I mean, just add a little bit of muscle to him, Vince will think he's gold. Vince will push him to the moon.
It made me so sad seeing Scott Hall in 93 and Scott Hall now when they did that whole thing, you know. They switched back to Scott Hall in 93. They showed him now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing for, like, regular aging. I mean, obviously, you know, none of us necessarily are as spry, you know, 17 years later as we are now. I know I'm definitely not as spry and energetic now as I was when I was 13, but, yeah, I mean, going back, you know, watching Razor Ramon back then, but, yeah, I mean, it's sad, and you just kind of hope that there's some sort of a positive ending, you know, before we're here talking about his death 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year down the road. It won't be,
Pop. He doesn't want to change.
Kind of a blaze of glory type deal?
Yeah. I don't think wants to change at all.
It's definitely a shame.
What do you think Shawn Michaels was thinking during that? When he mentioned Shawn's name during that whole deal?
Well, oddly enough, you're not the first person to ask that, and Shawn actually, he put a post on his Twitter. Yeah, I've over the course of the last week, I've set up a Twitter account, and now I've kind of become, you know, I've been following way more than I should. Yeah, that's become my addiction. They need to have a show about me, my trying to get over it at some point. But no, Shawn did post a tweet regarding basically that his thoughts on the whole E60 piece. He said he hadn't seen it, and his thoughts on it, you know, I mean, referring to all the guys in it, obviously, you know, Justin Credible, Kevin Nash, Triple H, X-Pac, you know, they're all his friends, and that. Well, I know, but I mean, but he was referencing his close friends, and he said that, you know, that because they're his close friends, I mean, he's going to keep that between them, and he's not going to publicize anything going on as far as his opinion with something that personal.
But they mentioned his name. They said, "Hey, me and Shawn were in a hotel." You know, I mean, you would think that he would say something like. I'm not saying he should feel somewhat responsible for it, but if they were doing the same things together, obviously Shawn cleaned his life up a little bit better than Scott, but don't you think he would feel some sort of, like maybe in the back of his mind, some sort of responsibility, or...
Oh, no doubt, and it wouldn't surprise me if he does, but knowing Shawn the way he is now, he's probably having that conversation behind closed doors. He's not putting that out in a tweet for the public to feast upon.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was good to see Stephanie McMahon there, too.
Yeah, we haven't seen her in a little while. I mean, granted, she just had like a, you know, about a 20-second part in it, kind of talking about what they've done to try to help Scott. 6 figures. You know, she didn't give the exact number, but more than any other former WWE superstar who has sought this. Sought the rehab, essentially sponsored by WWE.
Yeah. I'll let you go. You can probably want to take more callers. So
yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Dan. Always appreciate it.
Bye.
Great call as always. Let's go ahead and take care of a little bit of business. When we come back, we'll preview the Vengeance lineup, get more of your thoughts on the Scott Hall thing, and I'll kind of talk a little bit about, from last Saturday, the fun opportunity that I had to meet Sting, Ric Flair, and Hulk Hogan, and some of the other fun that has followed up because of that. Plus, more of your calls. We'll also take a look at the Facebook feedback. There's certainly been quite a bit over the course of the last week, as well as today in wrestling history. A whole bunch more still here on the show. 215-949-3232. Toll free at 888-922-2149. Those are the ways to get to us here on Pro Wrestling Weekly on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.